What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast presented by Major League Success. I have Ebony Napier with me from Red One Realty, and I'm excited to have you on, Ebony. I know we've been kind of connected social media friends for a while. You've been coming into our clubhouse room that we do here in Central Ohio for 2 years now, a year and a half.
I think since what, 2020?
Okay. Yeah, we started at the beginning of 2021. So if you're from the beginning, it's two and a
Okay.
half years strong. So
Yeah. Okay. I thought it started during COVID. Maybe it was after, but it came pretty quick. Yeah.
yeah, well, like we
Mhm.
were talking before, right? Time flies when you're having fun. Like you just leave.
Exactly.
But I'm super excited. And I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. I know, you got a lot of things going on, a lot of different moving parts, and I'm sure we'll touch on that here as well. But thanks so much for today. And Ebony, we always start on the Tell Me More podcast from the very, very, very beginning.
Okay.
What was childhood like for you growing up?
So my childhood, I grew up in Youngstown, Ohio. So I'm a
Oh,
northeastern
wait,
Ohio.
hold up. We got to
Yeah.
pause already.
You said, hold up.
You're from Youngstown?
Yes.
I grew up in Latonia. My parents live in Columbiana, so
Get out of here. Another 330 native.
yeah. I just talked to another agent last week or a week and a half ago, and she had us a 330. I was like, all right, what part of Northeast Ohio? Because if you're from Northeast Ohio, that is a big section, right? Are we talking
Yes.
Youngstown, Akron, Canton, Cleveland? Like, what are we talking here? So,
Right. Right.
what part of Youngstown? Like in Youngstown, or what?
In the city.
Okay.
Yes. I graduated from East High School. My childhood was definitely colorful, I'll say. It was a good childhood. I always say I'm a 70s baby. It was definitely different. I think you're a lot younger than me, John. But
my mom was born there. My grandparents lived there for a long time. So I know what you're talking about.
yeah, it was Northeast Ohio. It's a different. I think LeBron James said it best. Everything is earned. You work for everything.
Yeah.
You have one of the most hardworking people from Northeast Ohio, I think. A lot of people that I come in contact with that's from Northeast Ohio, they're very hard workers. And a lot of them prosper very well here in Columbus, Ohio, because they know the struggle back in Northeast Ohio, So
I mean that's part of my story, right? So it's like I graduated college, got married, got divorced all in the first year of me being in the business, and part of that motivation was I'm not going back home, right? Like
right.
and Northeast Ohioans, it's just a different mentality and a mindset. Like my dad would have charged me rent anyways, right? He wouldn't have given me no freebie. So
Right.
I'm paying rent anywhere. I might as well pay rent here and not go back home. So
Right. We are definitely a little bit harder on our kids. We definitely expect them to really work hard, so
yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. So did you have any interest, hobbies, anything growing up that,
I was the girl that I really just like boys. Growing up, I didn't play any sports. Me and my crew that I hung out with, we were out. Before I was a teenager, we were outside kids. I mean, like
yeah.
we would be gone all day. They'd be calling you, like, come eat dinner at least. So once I got to high school, I always worked. Once I got to high school, I worked at my first job was at Sears. Everybody else was working at like McDonald's and places like that. Um, I always wanted to be a business major. I was taking like this program in high school called the IOE COE program, and it gets you into a job in the office. So I wasn't at Sears like selling clothes and merchandise. I was actually in the offices there. And I was just always been a really, really organized person from high school because we had to learn how to type and we had to learn how to file and we had to learn. And, I just always wanted to do business management. Eventually, I went to work, like I left there, went to Gateways to a Better Living. That's working with the MRDD, really like that. Then was with my son's dad, and we had my son, and we broke up. And while we were together, I moved to Columbus in 1999, and I got a job with the state of Ohio when I was 22 years old.
Is that what brought you to Columbus? Was the job
Yep.
opportunity? Okay.
Yep. And when we broke up, I moved back to Northeast Ohio, and I just transferred my job back to the prison up there. And I was there for another 7 years. Um, in the meantime, I had my daughter, and things started getting rough with the job, having a newborn. And I transferred back to Columbus again in 2007. She was 1 year old, to get into another state job that was Monday through Friday, weekends, holidays off, because I was working like weekends. I was a
Yeah.
correctional officer, stuff like that. And then I started college while I was raising my two kids. Got my associates in criminal justice, got my bachelor's in business management while working a full-time job. And I've been here ever since.
What originally had you go the corrections officer route?
Believe it or not, my dad was like, "Hey, you didn't have a son now. You need to get a job with benefits, and they don't do anything but babysit." You know, he was like, "It's good money." My goal was to be a toll. I was trying to get in the toll booth because that was like a state job too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Had a couple interviews, didn't ever hear back. So the prison called and they needed people, and I've been there ever since.
You're still doing it.
I'm not a correctional officer now, but I do still work for the state.
Okay.
I'm a correctional records supervisor. I work at our central office downtown.
Okay.
And it's I've been there 24 and a half years of my life.
Yeah.
Since I was 22 and I'm 47. So I've been there a long time.
So you came back to Columbus in 07.
Mm-hmm.
Lead me up to the point of when you decided to go and get your real estate license. Because obviously, like, I know a little bit of your story, right? Of like, hey, like, I got a couple years left to retirement. I'm
Right.
not leaving this job to jump into real estate, even though you are. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But, what made you want to go and get licensed when you had a great, job with the state and benefits and all of those things?
So I started getting into real estate because even when I lived in Northeast Ohio, we used to have parade of homes, believe it or not, every now and then. So I would go to the parade of homes up there. And then when I moved here, I moved to Dublin, and they had a parade of homes, kind of like the parade of homes, but it's a Dublin one. And so we lived in the Murfield area, and you can kind of like, they just had all this little stuff that you can walk to on all these little communities.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to just do it. And I used to do that. That's what I enjoy. I didn't want to go to like bars or anything like that. That was my little, downtime. And my son wouldn't go, but my daughter would be like, "Yeah, let's go look at these houses, and stuff." And I really enjoyed it. And I was like, when my daughter gets a little older, independent, I'm thinking I'm going to get my real estate license, So when she turned about 11 or 12, I think it was, and she was, able to stay home by herself, that's when I start looking into getting my license. And I'm going to tell you, John, I was sitting on the couch and I was going through mail. And that little blue folder that comes in the value pack?
Yeah.
There was a $200 off in there. And I was like, this is nothing but a sign,
That's crazy.
Very crazy.
I still get those, but I don't really open them. So
I usually throw them away. Yeah, I do too. Yeah. This particular day, I did not. I sat there and went through the whole thing. And it was like $200 off to get your real estate license. Back then, it was like $1,600, I think. So I think I paid $14 or something for the whole package at Hondros. And after that, it was all she wrote. I've been doing it ever since.
What year was that?
I started in 2016.
Okay.
Some things got like my daughter had an asthma attack. She was in the hospital, so I kind of got sidetracked and didn't take the test. And then I ended up taking the test in 2017, and that's when I really, I think I got my license June 2017. Yep.
Okay. Okay. What when you dove in, and obviously you're still in a whole nother career, at this point,
Mm.
but when you dove into real estate, did you have supporters, doubters? Like, what were the people around you saying?
The people around me, I think they were very encouraging, but you will find people like they don't know if you're gonna be good enough, or are you really about it? What are you? You know what I mean? Stuff like
Yeah.
that. You can tell by your Saphir, they might not call you at first, and stuff like that. But honestly, mostly all my closings have been strangers, and they are all now like good friends.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
just last weekend, I was at one of somebody I closed in March baby shower. Like they're like my family now.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's a big misconception in our industry. And you've heard me talk about this, but like leads, right? And like
Mhm.
most people only want to work with their sphere of influence, and there's nothing wrong with that. And obviously, we all need to work with our sphere of influence.
Right.
But in school, I just always remember they're like, it was like this. Oh, everyone's gonna sue you, right? Like you better do it this, And I always just thought, like, when I got into it, it was like, man, with leads or strangers or whatever, like, my goal is to make them my friend by the end of the transaction. And if I can do that, then I will be fine.
Yep.
I
Yep.
won't get sued. Friends typically don't sue friends.
Right.
And the sphere and the referrals and everything else will take care of itself with time. But I'm interested in your mindset of, because again, real estate is typically uh, someone's second, third, fourth, fifth option as a career, right? It's usually not like 18 going into real estate or graduating college and you're going into real estate. It's usually like people find it on their journey of life or journey of career moves. What was it for you? What was your goal with getting your license, those first couple years? Was it just to be in it because you enjoyed it? Was it because you really wanted to go after and accomplish something?
I think when I became a homeowner the first time, I really wasn't educated. And I feel like I wanted to get into it to educate people. And I that's why I hold home buyer seminars all the time. I always tell people, yes, I enjoy my career, and yes, it's a source of income for me. Let's not make that mistake. However, it is something that I'm passionate about, that I think is has to do with education, educating people of how it's just not smart to rent. It's always better to own, and just and I have all kind of clients. That's what I'm grateful for, because I have some people they can't get approved for a lot. I have some people that can get approved for 800,000. It's but I try to educate everyone, and I think that the helping people part is why I really got into it, and not just, oh, I need to make some money. It wasn't about that. I mean, of course, I want to be paid because I use a lot of my time for this. I mean, I just sometimes don't know how to cut it off. I'm at 9, 10 o'clock at night sending stuff to people. I see something and I'm like, hey, look at this house, look at this house. And they're like, do you ever sleep? Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really what my goal was, to educate people, because I didn't do that for myself when I was my first time home buyer. I just basically looked at houses, bought a house, but I do think it's about education. It's for our community that we live in, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. When I was younger, this is just me calling myself out. There's an agent on our team, still on our team, Jared, who, would always tell me that, what we do changes people's lives.
Yes.
Right. And when I was younger, I was like, sure, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
I was just 22, cocky, and just doing my thing. Right.
Mhm.
But it's true, right? Especially like, you see all of the wealth that happened since when I got in 2011, just through coming out of the last, recession. And, people going through those moments. I just did a closing in July where I helped them buy in 2014. They came from California. They lost their home and everything, out there during the crash and the recession. And, they just called me up and we just listed their home, and, they were able to walk away with well over $100,000, to help them onto their next journey of where they're going. And as I've gotten older, right, and understand the power of real estate and what it can do for people and what it's done for me over the years, it's truly is that, right? Us as agents, we have the opportunity. Yes, we are helping people buy or sell a home, but we really have an opportunity to shape, their family tree and their family wealth, in that
Yes.
regards too.
Yes. And I get a lot of calls. I'm working with somebody I graduated high school with right now, and she lives in Youngstown, and they all want me to come back. And I'm like, I don't have the time. However, I have kind of trained somebody down there, and she's with, I forget her, it's a small boutique
Mm-hmm.
brokerage, but she calls me a lot. And, I've been mentoring her, just about, the lead-based paint. Make sure you do that. Make sure radon is a big thing. Make sure you are looking for the radon machine when you are looking at houses, stuff like that. And I did a lot of educating her so she can get her real estate business up and help my friends that's down there. And I actually do a lot of using some of my lenders here in their programs that's not in Northeast Ohio. But if you're a lender in Ohio, you can do them anywhere.
Yeah.
And so some of my people I graduated high school have used my lenders up here, and they're using now my realtor partner there because I don't have the time to make it down there. You know what I mean? I just don't.
Yeah. No, I get it. Ebony, how did you go about growing your business since 2016? Obviously education, and you mentioned, buyer seminars. So how did you think about growing your business? And then, with you having another career as well, how did you position yourself for people to trust you as a real estate agent?
I think for me, when I got my license, I was not really looking at selling at first. I was
Hmm.
always in the classes. I wanted to be a realtor that knew what I was talking about. You know what I mean? So as soon as I got my license, I was at Carlton Realty at the time, a great brokerage, great broker. He's about his business. You better not write a contract without going to contract class. And I like that about Bob. And I did a lot of training to be a good realtor. I didn't want to be just a realtor. I wanted to know how to look for mold, how to look for radon machines, how to look
Mhm.
for Boeing in the basement, how to look for, those are the things that I learned. And then once I was ready to get out there, I'm going to be honest with you, John, I'm a homebody. I work, during the day. Mostly everybody, I swear, came from Facebook.
Really?
95%. 95% of my people came from Facebook.
I want to dive into that and get tactical with you. What were you doing in order for that to happen? Because social media is the hot thing right now, right? Like, oh, I
Mhm.
want to be, but it's mostly like I want to be an influencer.
Mhm.
Put out
Right.
content, put out content. Um, what were you doing in order to stay top of mind? With your friends on Facebook or on social media at that time.
Well, to be honest, none of them was my friends. So what I would do was I would make a lot of and I was a very private person on Facebook until I got into real estate. I wouldn't set people I didn't know. I wouldn't do any of that. Then I got real estate, and I'm just letting anybody in. You know what I'm saying? friend. And so I had to delete some because some young guy was inboxing me. I'm like, dude, I'm 45. I have a 25-year-old son, you know. But what I would do is I would make posts about programs, and I would make them public, and I would share them, and I would share them in groups. And
Mm.
I think I got in this group on Facebook called Sis, What's Your Business? And I think I got in there and I posted a lot of programs. And I didn't post about real estate as much, or I posted more about the programs they can get, and you can get a house, and you don't have to have 20% down, and you can do this. And I got people that way. And then I also used to go around and I did a Mother's Day brunch. I cannot tell you how I met Shayna. I cannot remember, but I'm sure it was from Facebook. She had a Mother's Day brunch. That's where I got a listing from. You know, then I went to Shayna she's a event planner. She has something at the McCoy Center for brides. She does bride stuff, and I got a person out of there, you know. And even if I get one person, it's worth it. If you get one closing, it's worth it, because that person will refer you to somebody else, you know. But majority of them, I know I got an award from Bob when I was at Carlton, and he said, did you know you sold $1 million in a month? And I was like, yeah, I did not know that. And you know, and it was just two people I talked to on Facebook in a group. Yeah. And one of the local groups in Worthington, in my neighborhood where I was living at the time. And basically that's how I got majority of strangers, basically, you know. And this guy that I closed, he told me one day, and he was like, I didn't know you. You posted something on Facebook, somebody screenshot it, and that's how I called you. And I closed him. You know, so you can really influence people if you showing them educational parts of it, you know.
You know, solving problems, right?
Yeah.
You know, solutions. I always tell people, you know, agents, it's like, you know, who are you marketing to, right? When you're putting a post out, like what's in it for them, right? Are we truly marketing to the right people?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm curious, because you said you're more of a homebody, but it sounds like you went to events and you leveraged other events that were going on to go out and you know, maybe potentially create conversations or an opportunity. How did you get over that hump? Or are you just more of an outgoing person once you get out into the environment?
Yeah, I'm very much outgoing. But like I said, I got most of them at those Facebook posts, but the rest of them, I did go to those events and I got clients from that as well. Like I said, it wasn't a lot. Like I said, it might be one or two. That's it.
Well, you know what's interesting about that is I tell agents that you just need one opportunity. Like, you don't know, like we do leads, right? Like, you don't know who's on the other end of that phone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember one of my best investor clients was a lead that came in. I was actually on my first honeymoon, and my team leader Ryan was here in Columbus. He actually converted it for me.
Okay.
And Bill came in and he's like, you know, I think back then it was $400,000, and he wanted to buy a duplex in German Village. And Ryan just had an educated conversation with him of like, hey, like, you could really take, at the time, this is 2012, beginning of 2012. Hey, instead of buying one duplex in German Village, why don't you take 400,000 and buy 3 or 4 houses, right? And we can help you do that. And you know, I think over the years, Bill has probably bought or sold, you know, 12, 14 homes. And that's just because of one opportunity, one conversation, one. So, you know, like for your story, right? And it's still going, right? Like, you know, those people that you may have ran into in the beginning of your career may be lifetime referring partners, right?
Yes.
And, you know, as agents, you just got to get out there and create those conversations and those opportunities.
And you know, what I forgot to mention, John, is so I was renting a condo in Worthington. When my son graduated from Kaufman, we moved to Worthington because that's where I started at. That's where I really wanted to live.
Yeah.
And so my landlord, I couldn't find a house that I liked. My daughter wanted to be in Worthington schools, and I told her, look, I'm not buying a house because of your friends. I have to like the house, okay? And so,
like, now, like, you know, skip the friends. We gotta make sure in today's world, it's like, now forget what my kids think. We gotta make sure the dog likes the yard, right?
Yeah. And I said, this is what I said. I said, if we don't find anything, we're gonna stay here till you go to 6th grade camp. That's it. And then after that, we're probably gonna go right here to Olentangy schools because the houses are newer, you know. Yeah. And She said, okay. So that's what we did. We stayed till she went to sixth grade camp with her friends. But after that, of course, we ended up moving to Olentangy schools. So anyway, he wouldn't renew my lease because he wouldn't let me not sign a lease because I hadn't found a house yet. And I was a realtor at this time. And he says, well, I'll tell you this. It's hard to rent a house in the summer. I mean, going into the fall, because we moved like, I think we closed on this house in July. He was like, people usually are settled by then, but I'll let you sell it. And if you sell it, I'll let you off the lease. So I sold it. And the guy that bought it was an investor. He came to the open house unrepresented, and he has bought 6 properties with me ever since.
There you go.
And that's how I met him.
There you go.
Yep.
That's awesome. How have moving forward, right? Like over the 2016, you got licensed, and I want to kind of future pace now, kind of like what your goals and dreams are, with business, with life, right? I know you have, you don't have any intentions of leaving your other career right now. What are you looking to accomplish within the next year? What's a goal of yours?
In the next year, I would like to. My goal was a duplex, but I don't know. I saved up the money for me an investment property back in 2020. And then when they had that order of you couldn't put people out if they didn't pay their rent, I took the money and built a sunroom on my house. I said, I can't deal with that. I work for the prison system. Somebody don't give me my money, I'm gonna be in trouble because I'm not dealing with people not paying the rent. So I took that money and built a sunroom on my house, and I've saved up again. But I would like to get a duplex for my family. That's one of my goals. For that maybe one of them can live in one, and then we can rent the other out, or something like that. Now, my son has just decided to move to Florida, so I may not do that now.
Airbnb instead, right?
Yeah. So, that's one of my goals. I don't know if that's going to happen in the next year or so, just because where I want to buy, well, my investor who I told you bought 5 or 6, I won't compete with my clients. Okay.
Yeah.
So saying that, he got one in Powell. I sold to him for $300K, 2-bedroom, I think 1.5 bath, maybe in Powell, Worthington Schools. I sold him one in Worthington. It was kind of off market because I know I was in that groups with those people. Yeah. So I like friends with all of them, and that was in the middle of COVID. And now that those duplexes are now like $500,000.
Yeah.
So I didn't pay that much for this house. So saying that, I'm not going to buy an investment property more than what the house I paid that I'm living in. So I don't know. It just depends on what, the economy does. It depends on, another goal of mine. I was going to try to buy like a condo in Florida because we go a lot.
Yeah.
But the HOAs for where I want to be at, it's just like, I don't feel like I'll make money. It has to make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I've honestly been thinking about this. We bought 3 investment properties this year. And I've honestly been thinking about just looking back in Northeast Ohio. Obviously, prices are cheaper than what they are here, probably higher than what they're used to there.
Right.
But, you can still probably get something pretty decent and still get a decent rent and all those things. And that, that's just another a spot to pay attention to as well. So don't know.
So I have been looking in Northeast Ohio at duplexes. They have 1970 kitchens, so they do need to be renovated. So you can get a duplex there for 120, 130, 40, 50 in a little town. You probably heard of it, Austintown.
Yep.
So that's where we lived at before we moved here. Yep. And so I was planning on maybe getting one, down there. But that's my plan, to maybe get an investment property Or I was even thinking about paying this house off. You know what I mean? So if I want to say dump the state, I could just do real estate. My house is paid off,
There you go.
you
There
know,
you go.
I don't know.
Ebony, what's a 5-year goal for you?
Right now, my 5-year goal is probably just return from the state because I only got 6 years left. So that's my goal right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
return.
Anything on the real any plans on the real estate side?
On the real estate side, I just want to continue to be a value to the customers. You know, God has blessed me in this business. I mean, I could be sitting here with maybe nothing going on, and like I just say, like last month, I got 4 in contract right now.
Yeah.
And and a listing just coming tomorrow, and I would just hope that God continue to bless me to bless others with my abilities to help them get into a house.
For maybe the audience and those listening that maybe are trying to navigate the waters of maybe transitioning into real estate from another career, or maybe someone like yourself, right? Like we've had this conversation. We honestly just had it today, but when you were on Clubhouse, I think last week or the week
Mhm.
before,
Mhm.
this whole part-time, full-time thing, right? Like,
Yeah. Oh, it's a big thing in the real estate community.
how have you been, maybe those that are listening in are like, man, like how did she just say she got 4 in contract plus working a full-time job at the state, right? And kids and everything in life, right? For you, how have you been able to navigate those waters?
I think it's because I'm very organized. I think you have to be organized. I think you have to be a go-getter and you have to know how to manage your time wisely.
Mm.
Even if that means, I'm not gonna lie, I have taken vacation off for a week just to do more stuff with my clients. But you have to be able to in the background, you'll see I have like little stuff up on the in the
Yeah.
background, and I'll put and over here I'll put this one's in contract, that's in contract, this one I got to have the earnest money by this day, I got to do this, and I keep all of this stuff. This used to be my dining room. I sold the table and just made it an office, and I have 4 bedrooms. My office was upstairs, but I have outgrown it because it's the small room, and I have so much stuff going on with real estate that I needed a bigger room.
Yeah.
So I think if you have another job, I think it is doable. I think I'll tell you, one of my clients, I got her to get her license in Tampa because I wanted to get my license there. But I have to realize I'm only one person and I can't be in Tampa and in Columbus and do this state job. And she goes, Ebony, how do you do it? I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, honey, like I'm over here telling her, hey, somebody on Facebook was looking for somebody in your area. I tagged you. Go, go, go now. You got to
Yeah.
be able to like be on
Yeah.
it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. People get into this business because they either want more money, more time, more freedom,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the reason why a lot of agents fail is because they have too much time and freedom on their hands, right? They have too much flexibility within their schedule. They don't know what to do, and there's not that sense of urgency that's created because maybe you leave corporate America or a job where you're working 9 to 5, and now you're in real estate. It's like, well, what do I got to do today?
Right.
But it's just that, right? It's getting on those opportunities when they present themselves.
And I think I'm also blessed because I work 7 to 3. I mean, like
Yeah.
all my people don't get off work till 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. But
Yeah.
sometimes it'll come up where, I'll have to be like, oh, I'll take the day off and take you out all day. You know what I mean? Or something like that if they work afternoons. That's my right to use my vacation as how I please. And but I think that you have to be a go-getter and you have to be aggressive. It has been good to me. I feel like me and my kids been on vacations of a lifetime. You know what I mean? And we probably would have never been on before if I wasn't in this career. And we've been able to do a lot. But you have to be a person who cares about people as well and not just be into the selling.
Yeah.
And I always say this to new agents because like I said, I've been training new agents because I can't get to Youngstown. I can't get to Florida. And when I do go, I'll be on vacation. But I tell agents all the time, like, how bad do you want it?
Mm.
How bad do you want it? Because sometimes I've been showing houses in the dark in the summer because Columbus market is so crazy that if you didn't get there, it could be gone the next day.
Yeah.
There's been times where I'm driving home from work and my client send me something. I go off on the side of the freeway. Let's go now. That's just who I am. I'm going to stop. We didn't have an appointment that day. I got in, I turned the car around and went back to east. So I think it's just about what your determination skills are. What do you really want for yourself? I want to be able to be when I'm retired that I have enough business that I'm okay and I don't have to be a Walmart greeter. You know what I mean? Or something like that. So, you
Where do
know,
you think you got that from?
Northeast Ohio. The struggle was real. You know,
Yeah.
yes, the struggle was real. I can remember um, counting pennies at the end of the month. Okay, trying to go to the store to get candy.
Yeah.
Um, I- so I think that's where it comes from.
I think that's one of the hard things too for agents in this business is to determine their why, or that motivating factor, that drive.
Mhm.
Because we all go through these moments of high times, right? 4 closings in a month, right?
Mhm.
The one great thing about our industry is there's no cap on the potential of income, right? We're the only ones that determine what we're worth. And there's
Mhm.
times where we bust our butts, and we can make more in a month than what some people make in a year.
Yes,
But I think a lot of agents struggle with that, right? Like, I think a lot of times in this industry, people get in because they think it looks easy, from the outside,
it's not.
and they don't see the grind and the late nights and the pulling over, and the family getting upset because change of plans of what we're doing now, and all of those things. So,
Divorced couples,
yep,
very hard to deal with.
yep, yep,
Yeah. Dogs, having to pick up dogs for showings, or coming out your own pocket because if they ain't getting along, somebody got to cut the grass, and this person said they wasn't this person said they wasn't. So guess what? You pay for it out your own pocket. It's not easy. It's something that you have to be able to deal with difficult people too.
yeah.
you know. And then, I mean, I had a client and I love her. I still talk to her to this day, older lady. She went off on me because she said I sold her house too fast. You know,
Normally it's the opposite, right?
you sold this house too fast. I said, well, you said you wanted to move. And then she told me, so we closed on it and she still stayed there for a little while. And she called and said, you know what, Ebony, I might not move. I said, you moving because you took them people money. Now you getting up out that house. And I'll give you an example with her. I sold her house and I had an open house there. So open houses does work, people.
Yeah.
And I had the buyer as well. And they had an agent before they met me, but the agent didn't have time. The house was only 50 some thousand. Okay. And I think they said, I don't got time for that. They have bought with me twice since then.
Yep. Yep.
And I mean, they don't buy high houses or anything. I treat them just as much well as I treat the other ones that
Yep.
buy high houses. They bought that house from me. There was an investment property that their brother was coming to live in. They bought another one, and I just closed with them again in March.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, in this business, you just never know who's on the other end of that open house opportunity, that sign call, that, internet lead, that Facebook message, you just never know. I mean, one of my best leads I ever got was a $30,000 buy side deal. Didn't think anything of it. That was back in, I don't even know, 2013 or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
ended up referring me to people, and it, in total was over $1 million and
Yeah.
real estate volume. So, just by doing our job and treating people the same, and just helping people navigate buying, selling, or investing in real estate.
And that's how I feel about them. They kind of got, their agent really didn't want to work with them because they
Yeah.
wasn't looking at high houses, whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'll write the offer, no problem. And then I hadn't talked to them probably since 2021. And I do try to stay in touch, but I think I got a new phone and I lost their number. And just this year, they was like, "You remember me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." But at the time, until they said we bought this house from you, I said, "Oh yeah." They was like, "Well, we seen this house and we want to buy this one." I just closed them in March, and
Yeah.
then I had a client that I closed in March. They contacted me in 2020, John. Every now and then, I'm like, "Okay, we're not ready yet. We're not." They closed in 2023.
Yeah.
And that's the ones that just had a shower. I've been talking to them for 3 years before they close. So you definitely don't want to put people, oh, they ain't gonna buy. They might not buy on your time, but
Yep.
they're gonna buy on their time.
Mm.
And
Yep.
that's what I've seen in this business. You just keep talking to those people, keep talking to them, they'll buy eventually.
Yep. Yep. Ebony, what's a legacy goal for you? What's a goal you're trying to hit when you're no longer here?
A legacy goal for me is to leave my kids generational wealth. Part of me was like, when my daughter graduated, I don't want to pay OMTNG taxes anymore. So I am going to get me a 5-level split built in Sunbury, play like Big Walnut school taxes, or something like that. And, the last couple of years, I'll say 6 to 8 months ago, I said, I'm not going to do that. I got a house in one of the highest rating school districts right now. That probably will never see houses in the 200 grands ever again.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to pay this house off, and these kids will always have this house, and then I'm going to get something, if God blesses me with more deals, maybe something, a duplex here, a duplex in Florida or something like that. And that's what my legacy is, to leave them a lot more comfortable than they are today. That they'll have some wealth when I'm out of here. That's one of my main goals to do for my children.
I love it. I got one more question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What's one piece of advice that you always give agents? I know you've been mentoring agents, but what's one piece of advice that you wish you had, maybe when you got into the business, or one that you just share if agents ask you, how do you do it?
It won't be nothing that I did. I think I had some great mentors in my career. I can't really say there's something that I wish I would have known, because I think I've done pretty well with the people I've dealt with. But the one thing that I share with any new agents is give good customer service and the money will come. If you in it for the money, because I've heard people say this, and you don't have no heart in it, and you're not able to say, because I've told clients, walk away, this house is going to give you problems.
Mm-hmm.
If you do the right thing, God will bless you. Don't think about the money aspect of it. Think about you're helping people and making sure that they are getting themselves in the best situation possible. And that's one of my number one advice to any new agent. Do it from the heart.
Yeah. Yeah. If you do the right thing, if you're in this for a career, right? And I think that's the biggest thing, right? Are you in this for a career? Or are you in this to try to make quick cash?
Exactly.
Because if you do the right thing and you treat people well, and you're in this for a career, 10, 15, 20 years, however many years you want to do it, the rest will take care of itself.
It will. And I truly believe that, John. If you do the right thing, God will continue to bless you with more clients. I truly, truly believe that. One year I couldn't believe that I made more money one year than I did on my state job. And I made good money at that job. And I made more money. Like when I wrote that tax bill.
Don't bring up that word on this show.
Yeah. I was like this. I would have never imagined this girl from Northeast Ohio would have to write this type of money for a tax bill. So yeah, I've had some really great years in real estate.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Ebony, I appreciate you jumping on here, talking about your journey, talking about your future plans, just your thoughts on, how to go out and service clients and to, grow a business. Those that are watching, if you're someone that connected with her story, resonated just, or, wants to pick her brain about real estate, whether it's buying, selling, investing, or another agent, that just wants to, have her in your corner. Our phone number is down below at the bottom of the screen. But for those that are listening in, Ebony, what's the best way for someone to connect with you?
I would say call me. I'm not a big texter. I don't want to text the whole thing. What is that? I'm a Generation X or Z or something like that. I don't know. So I still use paper. I still print out. So, give me a call. I'd rather talk than text all day. So.
Yeah. Her number is 614-603-7142. So just make sure you guys connect with her. Ebony, thanks again so much for jumping on here. I appreciate you. Appreciate, our friendship. And, if there's anything I could do for you, please, reach out to me. I'm here to help you and serve you any way I can.
All right. Thanks, Jon. Thanks for the invite.
Yes, of course. We'll talk here soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.